All right, everyone, Supreme Kami over here. In this video, we are going to be doing some surveys. So, upon the dropping of the version 3.3, when I logged into the game, I saw that we were able to take some sort of survey or whatnot. I'm actually going to be doing this on my PC, obviously. So, you guys, I think the best way to do it is probably doing it on your phone whatsoever, or whatever devices that is more convenient for you guys. So, let's actually get started. So this is definitely going to be a great way for us to just kind of give feedback to the for the dev team whatsoever. Just how we feel about the game currently and what changes that needs to be done for say, right? I'm pretty sure a lot of people, or me personally, I'm just gonna be talking about like just having 10 consecutive weeks of limited part is just kind of absurd, like even for me being a pay to play player, if that's how you want to treat it like that. Even for me, I don't really like it as that. How would you rate your satisfaction with Gundam Breaker Mobile? Um, I don't know, man. Like this is, I'm just gonna give it like a 7 so far, just because like I feel like whenever we went over to the 3.0 version afterward, like maybe 3.1, 3.2, it progressively I'm not gonna say it gotten worse, but I do personally feel like the game could be a little bit more refreshing in terms of like having more like different types of event, not having like the same types of one in a way. Maybe they could make like a new mode, for example, that we can kind of enjoy for example. I don't know. I think giving it a 7, which would be like maybe like a 70%, is probably how I feel about the game currently. It can definitely improve, as we are approaching that third year. Like I don't know what they have in plan, right? Like are they gonna bring some like additional new content that we can play besides the one that we're having? That is definitely something they gotta like kind of do, for example, right? So what is gonna be the next over here? Regarding Gundam Breaker Mobile, how do you feel about the following points over here? In terms of entertainment, so I'm just gonna go over all the bulletin points first. So we got a entertainment value, system rules, tutorial, clearly. Oh gosh, this one is definitely you guys already know. Feeling of achievement. Do you feel that you can continue playing without getting bored? Okay. Balance and difficulty. Okay. Time, frequency, and responsiveness of loading and downloading. Oh man, they're hitting a lot of points that I don't know. I'm gonna give them like a not so good of a rating already. In-game layout, home screen, battle screen, etc. That's pretty good. Multiplayer functionality, PvP, guild, that means your crew. I'm kind of surprised they call it guild instead of crew. And then co-ops, we don't really have co-ops in a way, matching, etc. And then communication features with other players, guild, chat feature, item trading. Huh? I item trading. We have item trading. What? Okay, so starting off with the entertainment value, I mean, it's actually quite good because of the fact that we are able to combine a lot of parts. So that is able for us to do a lot of kit bashing. So that in terms of the entertainment aspect of it, I'll give it like a good solid, satisfying in a way. System rules and tutorial clarity. I'm gonna lean towards not that clear, just because like there's so many aspects of the game where in terms of like farming specific item, for example, let's just talk about all the 5 different gears that we currently have access to. I feel like there's just not like a clear indication of how to get a specific item, for example. Which even me personally, like I'm trying to make tutorial video of like how to get specific stuff, but sometimes I'm just like, where is it at? Even for me, it's hard if you talk about new players like coming into this game, like already like 2.5 years in already. You ask them to form all those specific gear, like looking at those tutorials. I don't know, like and in terms of like portrait wise, there's just some portrait that is not even clear. It's so vague. Like I don't know what is their intention with that. Like I feel like they could add a little bit more text, or they can make it a little bit more understanding in a way. Like sometimes if I read a portrait, I'm just like, what is that supposed to mean? Like I don't want to have to go in and dig in like what it's supposed to be, like what this actually do. I want to be able to read it and it's like, oh, that's what it's supposed to mean. Oh, that's how you're supposed to use it or whatsoever. So that aspect of it definitely not too good in a way. Feeling of achievement. Do you feel you can? Yeah, I mean, this part. it's hard to say, right? It's gonna be very depending on player. Me personally, in terms of satisfaction, my level of satisfaction of achievement, for example, is maybe being able to beat a mission within certain amount of time, or let's say limited time multi mission boss or whatsoever. I'm able to beat this under like 30 seconds, for example. That is more like a kind of like a personal achievement that for me personally. So I will probably put this more or less like yeah anyway, so give it to that. In terms of balance difficulty, there's pretty much no difficulty in a way. In terms of balance, balance wise, I think it's just pretty much like all power crap. Like no, like it's all gas no break in a way. Like all I see is like continuous power, like power progression, but I don't see a way to kind of stop it. They try, but not to the extent that it's too successful in a way. Like as the recording is right now, they have draw one of the biggest, you can say, kind of like a power kind of like a power reduction kind of EX skill. They dropped it the pressure, right? The pressure awakening EX skill is able to kind of like nullify a lot of what your enemy can do. So that way it's kind of refreshing, right? I'm seeing like a new awakening EX skill that can potentially be like a meta for like a good minute, for example. That is definitely something we want to see, right? Not the same old like ooh this and that da 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 for example, right? So that's actually pretty refreshing. But in terms of balancing and all that, not really too balanced. So I'll definitely give it like a dissatisfaction for now. Just that. Time frequency and responsiveness to loading slash downloading. This aspect of it, gosh, I don't know. This aspect of it really depends on what kind of phone you guys are looking at. And in terms of this phone, or in terms of this game specifically, it does cater to phones that may have like a bigger, like, just being able to process stuff faster. So me personally, I am using an iPhone 11 Pro, and from time to time, I do have a little bit of a lag issue, probably due to the fact that the phone is getting a little bit older, and then not really like keeping up to date with how massive this game can be. And I do have a problem with like for iOS. This is gonna be for iOS users specifically. Whenever your phone get to a certain point where you don't really have too many space, you might run into problem having to re-download the whole game just because of like how the iOS system kind of designed where it kind of like micromanages your kind of data and all that. So I don't like the fact that maybe I only have like maybe 10 gigabyte left on my phone and they delete all my data. Not really delete all my data, but I had to re-download all the in-game stuff, which that part I don't like at all. It takes so many time, and in terms of taking too much time, that's probably gonna depending on your Wi-Fi, or maybe you're not using Wi-Fi, maybe you're using data. That is gonna be another big factor. So this really is I can't really say. There's so many factors, so probably gonna say can't say for now. In terms of in-game layout and home screen, back screen, yeah, I think that's pretty much fine. I don't really have too much problem with that. Having it as horizontal is, has been doing good so far, I guess, anyway. So I'll give it like more satisfied than not. In terms of the multiplayer functionality, PvP, man, this is PvP wise, 1v1 is still fine for now. I don't think there's too much of a troublesome for most player. But if you're talking about 3v3, oh my gosh, like 3v3 is probably one of the hardest content and probably one of the most controversial discussion people or this player will have generally. Just like every week, like when we log in, right? That login, like we want to see who's the enemy, right? I think over the course of the last 3 weeks already, we have kind of like I'm just gonna talk about the masterly to just kind of pinpoint things. Like whenever people see masterly, whenever they see like the top 18 player on the list, for example, they already know it's gonna be like a troublesome day if they see like a certain player, for example. Like they know it's gonna be bad because like certain player tends to bring things that is gonna be more on the disturbing side, which means you're just not gonna be able to take down their wave that fast in a way. So that is pretty much gonna be like well discussed throughout the whole day, for example, and then just talk about how they get destroyed by this wave or that wave, for example. So that is like I don't know. I don't want to call it not healthy. It's more. It's definitely really engaging to see how players can kind of like see those different stuff and all that. Definitely there's gonna be players that get mad over it, and some are going to be calm and collected and kind of go about that. In terms of that, kind of like a mixed feeling for that, obviously. In terms of guild crew and all that, for crew they could definitely do a little bit more. I feel like at this point in time, I wouldn't say it's kind of stale, but they can definitely do a little bit more engaging stuff within the crew page itself. Just because I feel like the text functionality can feel a little bit outdated, even though the fact that they have made it where we can kind of actually text stuff. I still do feel like they could be a little bit more interactive in between player to player. So that is probably something. I don't know. I don't know if like they can actually make a way for play to see when a player is actually online. I don't know if that's gonna go into like the privacy and all that, but I feel like that could be a great feature. So you know like how active your crew can be in a way. In terms of co-op, there isn't really like a co-op on all that, so I don't know if can really talk about that. Matchmaking, if you're talking about matchmaking, this is probably more in line with like a 1v1 for say, or like a friend battle. I mean, I don't. In terms of matchmaking, I feel like I feel like they could do a little bit more of like explanation of how they actually do like the 1v1 side of it, of like how they actually pick their enemy, like so we can kind of understand the whole process. I don't know if that's gonna be too much in depth of like the actual data kind of stuff. I don't know, but in terms of communication wise, that's pretty much what I kind of cover about. So I'll probably put this one as like I'll put this one like this right here. Communication wise, Guild chat feature, pretty much like a neutral feeling of it. Personally, I don't use too much of like the actual crew in-game chat feature and all that because I am affiliated into like a Discord. Because I use this Discord as a main as like a main medium to kind of talk to my crewmate and all that. So probably don't use that at all. So. All right, moving on to this one over here. If you selected satisfied or more satisfied than not, for please explain. I mean, probably gonna be. I'm just gonna like put. I'm gonna put, and then I'll explain a little bit. I kind of explained already, so I'm just gonna put what I have right here, and then we can just kind of move on. All right, so this is pretty much what I have. So I think creativity is definitely still, for me personally, I still feel like that's one of the stronger aspect of it, just because there's so many numerous parts you can kind of kit bash. Whether or not you talk about SoCal parts, Gundam Battle Festival part, event, just a regular event part. I think you can do like a multitude of like different kit bashing. I think that like for me personally, this could be hooked for like a good while. So that is definitely something I will put right there. All right, moving on to five over here. So how do you? Ooh, more. Okay, just gonna read them again, and then I'm just gonna quickly go to them and not trying to take up too much time for you guys over here. So amount of in-game content, character, story, location, item type, etc. Reproduction of original work, graphics, character power. What? Characters power, trait, etc. Huh? What? Production quality, graphics, sound effects, okay. In-game summoning slash recruiting feature, login bonuses, and rewards for clearing stages of it, man. These are all going to be pretty negative to me personally. Starting off with the summoning aspect of it, how do you feel about these one? Probably, I mean, then again, right? They can release as many Soul Suit, Gundam Battle Festival suit, and all that. Like you don't have to summon on all of them. Like that's the bottom line. You don't have to summon on it. I know it's really tempting. Even me personally, I'm always summoning on it. Like that aspect of it is really gonna be more or less like a self control, just self awareness. Like should you really go for it, for example? But in terms of them releasing back to back, it's not even cool. Like I don't know, like they could at least make it like twice per week, maybe in terms of like how they have been doing it. I just don't get why. So I'll probably for this one definitely gonna be give it like a more dissatisfied than not. In terms of login bonuses, reward for clearing stages, I guess that's still fine. Maybe I don't know if that is entails to maybe like arena for say. Like in terms of arena, definitely not enough. Like I feel like they really need to up their game in terms of arena rewards and all that. So definitely gonna give it like a not so good. For example, quality graphics. In terms of like like just the unit itself. Whenever I zoom in, like I see, I don't know, the graphics is not that good, honestly. Like if you talk about looking at it from your lockers and all that, not good. Sound effects and all that, I'll give it, yeah, give it that. So so two out of like two for one, I gotta give it that, right? But in terms of graphic wise, like they definitely need to like they definitely need to up their games in terms of like how unit actually looks in the box. In terms of like actually in battle, they seems pretty fine. Not too much complaint on that respect and all that. Reproduction of original works, graphics, character powers, and traits. I don't really look too much into it, so I can't say too much about that. I'm pretty sure this is talking about maybe like the AI specifics, like their battle types. I don't really look too much into that, so I can't really talk too much about that. So I'll give it, can't say. In terms of in-game content, characters, stories, I'll give it not too well because like we really don't have that many content to kind of play around. So I'll give it that for now. Regarding how do you feel about that? Can't really say. Level of dedication on the part of the development team. I mean, this part is really hard because there's just so many bugs that is really gone unnoticed and not really fixed. So in terms of like the dedication, like I don't want to like bash on the development team, but there's definitely so many aspects that they can definitely improve in terms of like there's so many little bugs that I have seen or have heard of. Definitely right now I can't really like sing out what specific ones, but there is definitely something that they definitely need to kind of keep their eyes on. So gotta give it that. In terms of information posted on the official website, official social media, that's pretty good actually. They do tend to keep it like a pretty good, consistent kind of consistency. They do post on a regular basis, so I'll give it that. FRQs and health feature clarity. This part I don't really look too much into myself, so I can't really say either. Yeah, just gonna say I can't say for now. If you selected dissatisfied or more than dissatisfied for level of dedication, ooh, they know. Oh man. So let me do think about that and I'll type it out and then I'll kind of do a teeny tiny bit of an explanation. All right, so I have three things over here, so you guys can definitely take a look. So these two are definitely going to be more or less related to, seven sub parts. Just being like the recently released unit being able to do that. So definitely want to address like why like the level of dedication in a way, and then just frequently adding so many banner consistently. So just talk about that, and then to this top one, just talk about like just them being able to fix the issue on like a timely manner. So it does really disrupt the overall gameplay and all that because like, there's just so many bugs that they really have not addressed it, and I just do wish they could address in a more fast paced in a way because like sometimes like players do get a little bit more frustrated when they do see the bug like kind of reoccurring all the time. So hope that those are something the devs team can kind of look into per se. So moving on, so would you recommend Gundam Breaker Mobile to a friend or acquaintance? In a way, yeah. I mean, this game definitely, if you talk about starting play right now, it's definitely not going to be the easiest game to be playing around just because there's so many power creep, for example. But if we talk about for a player that wants, like, just for a person that simply want to expand on their creativity in terms of parts that they can kind of do, I mean, certainly, yeah. That's definitely a kind of great way for them if they are into gunplay, for example, or if they're not. This is definitely something they can kind of look into. So I'll probably give it like an 8, for the recommendation parts. All right, moving on to section or number 10 over here. So this right here basically talks about the overall Gundam over here. So talk about the IP over here. So I feel the player opinion are reflected in the IP and its service. Okay, I feel that's a central part of my life or something that I live for. Okay, I want to enjoy this IP even more. Okay, I want to be inspired by this IP. I want to enjoy this with my friends and family. Okay, I want to talk about this IP with other people. Okay, so in terms of gunplay itself as the overall IP, I feel like it's a very, very, very niche topic to be discussing. Just because I feel like in terms of where I live, specifically, I live in in the United States, specifically in California. So they're just not. If I walk out of my house, for example, and probably go out to the mall or to the shopping center, for example, if I ask play or place, if I ask people what is Gundam, they'll probably look at me like, is it Transformer, for example? Like that's the type of like reaction I'll get. So in terms of this overall IP, I feel like it just deserves a little bit more kind of exposure from just more or less like releasing games, for example, because like there's just so many Gundam games that is like regionally locked. So obviously we're not talking about the games. Like how else would players even get kind of exposure to this game? In terms of the overall anime, I don't think even the anime. I mean, the animation wise is kind of fine in a way. But I do think that in terms of just Gundam in general, they're just not too many people know about that. I do like the fact that they are starting to release a lot more Gunpla units. Talking about the actual Gunpla kits in big retail store like Target. They're releasing them in maybe like Highway Library, for example. So that's kind of like a good strategy, for example. So I'm pretty sure people do kind of pick up on those. So that's actually good. But in terms of like what I talk to people about that, this one not really. Just don't really talk too much about in general, right? In terms of like this one, not too much either. I want to be inspired by this 5P. Probably something I can't say. I want to, yeah, this part I would like. This is definitely something in terms of me personally, kind of, yeah. Probably not really. Just kind of be honest, not really something I would kind of live for. Not to the extent yet, right? Definitely it's kind of has been part of my life for like a long time already since I was a kid, obviously. But not really something I will kind of live for, right? If I don't have it, I'm not gonna like cry about it, for example. So it's kind of that. In terms of this over here, can't really say this one either. So that's pretty much what I'll rate in terms of Gundam at this point in time. So moving on. Okay. So if you have any other points about the game comment you would like us to kind of provide, this is gonna be optional. So I think I'll leave it as that because I pretty much have talked about what I need to talk about in terms of the other comments already. So I kind of addressed that. So if you guys do have additional comment, please be courteous when you guys are kind of like giving out your opinion and don't kind of like put to me like your like kind of like keep it nice and neat, and then don't use a lot of profanity, for example. Just kind of keep it like a formal and all that, so they can definitely take into the consideration of that. So that is definitely something. I think that's gonna be pretty much it. So I'm gonna leave this one as blank. So I have kind of explained what I do need to explain already. So moving on. So you're setting it ready. There's not even gonna be like, oh, so this one you're not even gonna be getting any rewards out of that. So this is simply just doing your kind of like your survey. But this is definitely gonna be a good way for just them to know what the player base is kind of feeling. So I do highly suggest if you guys do have a 30 minute, for example. I think that's what they actually say. If you have like a 30 minute spare, definitely do the survey. It should help out the game in terms of in terms of like moving on to the next direction, for example. So with that being said, that is going to be pretty much it with this overall survey with you guys over here. So I'll catch you guys all on the next one.